When you're ready, maybe take a few moments to arrive on your mat. Feel free to take a moment to figure out your starting shape. Perhaps you start today's practice standing or maybe seated on your mat. Sometimes we might not be sure what we want to choose. You might not be sure what works best for you in your body. You're welcome to try both. Maybe taking a moment to acknowledge that you have arrived and that you made it. This practice is time and space where you're welcome to meet your body however it is showing up this morning. Your pacing might look different than mine. You might choose to stay in a form longer than what is offered. Maybe you choose different movements than the ones shared in class today. This is your practice. You're welcome to claim it as your own in any way this morning. In your own time, maybe bringing awareness to your space. You could begin to bring awareness to your body. One way of doing this might be through movement. Perhaps forwards and backwards, or maybe even side to side. You're welcome to join me in that, or maybe a different version of standing or seated if that's where you are. Wherever you choose to be, you might take a moment to notice your feet are on the ground. If it's useful to you, maybe taking a moment here to bring your attention to your feet on the ground. You can do this by maybe using your eyes, perhaps looking down at your feet. You could even add a little movement, maybe by wiggling your toes or your heels. Or maybe you feel the ground, or if you're on a mat, maybe you feel the mat underneath your feet. From here, if it's useful to you, maybe you choose to pause in stillness for a moment, or if you'd like to add a bit of movement, you could start by adding a little movement with your arms. When you're ready, maybe lifting and lowering your arms if you'd like. Again, you might choose to pause in stillness, or you could add movement by maybe lifting and lowering your arms. You might choose to move with my rhythm here, moving at the same pace, or you might choose a different rhythm that could be moving more slowly or maybe more quickly. From here, at your own time, you're welcome to maybe start to make your way into the next shape I thought we can try by maybe bending your knees and making your way into this squat shape. Perhaps you bend your knees a little more or less. You can bend your knees more here, or maybe you straighten them more. That might shift how the shape feels. You might notice a difference maybe in the muscles of your legs. Perhaps this is where you feel this shape. You could find your own version here, bending more or less with your knees. If you're not sure which version is useful for you, you could always move between these different versions. Maybe bending and straightening your knees. Maybe pausing in stillness, or maybe adding some movement. You might start to notice the muscles in your legs that you are working here. You might also notice this in a different part of your body. Maybe in your back, or in another part of your legs, or in a different part of your body altogether. Perhaps you might not notice any sensation here at all. Whenever you are ready, at your own time, you're welcome to make your way out of this shape. Maybe taking a moment to pause as you make your way out of this shape and return to a neutral standing shape. From here, I thought maybe we could try some lunges. One way, if you'd like to join me in this, if you'd like to make your way into the first side, you could start by stepping 1 foot towards the front of your mat. Maybe by stepping 1 foot towards the front of your mat and maybe bending into your front knee. Again, you can always make your way out of this shape at any moment. From here, you might take a moment to set up this shape for yourself. Perhaps you adjust your feet, or maybe you adjust your back leg. Feel free to take your time finding your own version here. With your arms, perhaps you keep your arms down, or maybe you explore lifting your arms up. Maybe your arms are down by your side, or if it's useful to you, maybe you explore lifting your arms up. Again, if you're not sure which version to try, you can maybe add some movement here, maybe lifting and lowering your arms. Maybe pausing in stillness, or maybe adding some movement. Your choice. With your movement, if you choose to explore this, you could keep the movement in your arms. If you'd like, maybe you add some movement into your front leg. Perhaps you bend and straighten your front knee. Again, maybe you add movement by isolating these different movements, or maybe you add these movements together. If it feels useful to you, maybe you bend your front knee and move your arms together. You might notice as you do this movement, or as you pause in stillness, you might notice your breath here. A few options with your breath. One might be to keep your breath moving in whatever way it naturally does. Perhaps moving with the natural movement of your breath, whatever that might be in this moment. Or you could sync your movement up with your breath. So maybe inhaling as your arms move in one direction and bend your knee in one direction. Maybe exhaling in the other direction. At your own time, if you'd like, you're welcome to maybe start to make your way into a warrior two shape. You might move your shoulders over towards your back leg, maybe facing one side of your mat. Feel free to take a moment to make your way into this shape. Maybe face the side of your mat or even the back of your mat. With your arms, you can explore whatever version might be useful here with your arms. Maybe you keep your arms down, or you could also explore maybe lifting your arms by your side. You might maybe notice, maybe you keep your arms down, or you could explore by lifting your arms by your sides. You might notice the ground underneath your feet again. Maybe use your eyes to notice your feet on the ground, or maybe a little bit of movement in your toes if you'd like. You might also notice other muscles here. Perhaps in your front leg, or your back, or your arms. If it feels useful, you can pause in stillness, or maybe you add movement by maybe straightening or bending your front knee. Maybe also adding movement with your arms. One option is to pause in stillness, holding the shape, and another is to add movement. That movement could be in your arms, or in your front leg, or maybe a combination. At your own time, you're welcome to come out of this shape and back into a neutral standing shape. Maybe you bring your shoulders towards the front of the mat, adjusting your back leg. Perhaps you step your back leg forward, or maybe you explore stepping your front leg backwards. Whatever might be most useful for your body here. Maybe taking a moment to bring attention to your body on your mat. You might notice your feet on the ground. You can pause here in stillness, or maybe add some movement. Maybe lifting and lowering your arms, or maybe pausing in stillness, or maybe adding some movement. At your own time, if you'd like to try the other side, you're welcome to make your way there. Maybe stepping the opposite foot forward, or maybe stepping the opposite foot backwards. In your own time, taking a moment to set up the shape. Maybe pausing in stillness. You can choose maybe to lift your arms, or maybe you keep your arms at your sides. Reminder that you can come out of this shape at any moment for any reason. Again, you could add some movement, maybe lifting and lowering your arms, or maybe bending and straightening your front knee, or maybe a combination. You're welcome to make whatever choices might be useful to your body in this moment. If you're not sure what that means, you don't have to choose. Perhaps you do a combination of these different variations, adding some movement, and maybe combining it with pausing in stillness along the way. From here, in your own time, you're welcome to make your way into the opposite side with this Warrior II shape. When you're ready, maybe bringing your shoulders over towards your back leg so that your shoulders are facing the sides of your mat. Maybe you keep your arms down by your side, or maybe you extend your fingertips outward. That might feel differently in your body. Maybe in the muscles of your back, or maybe in your arms. You can choose either one, or maybe you choose to add some movement on this side. Maybe lifting and lowering your arms, or maybe straightening and bending your front knee. Maybe pausing in stillness, or maybe adding some movement. You might notice that you're breathing. Maybe you stay with however your natural breath is showing up right now. Or perhaps you sync your breath with your movement. Maybe inhaling as your arms move in one direction and exhaling in the other. At your own time, you're welcome to make your way back to neutral standing. Maybe bringing your shoulders forward, and maybe you step your front foot back, or maybe you step your back foot forward towards the front.